Alright, here we go. Hey gang, this is Johnny Worldbeater, welcoming you, all my fellow nerdlingers, dorkburgers, geekazoids, and neo-maxi zoom twippies, and welcome once again to my world. This is something of a special episode, as we will be wrapping up my first ever Let's Play on stream, as we come to the final episode of The Wolf Among Us. Before we get started, I'd like to call out one of my new followers from the last stream, Morpheus Link. Welcome to my world. I hope you enjoy the stream, and I hope all you watching at home will do the same. Alright, so without further ado, let's dig in.
I mean, your eyes and the teeth. You're not really supposed to do that, are you?
Not if I can avoid it.
Seem to have missed a line of dialogue there.
No.
If it was supposed to be there. You may
Holly's
remember
sister.
it from the very first episode.
Do you even give a shit about us? The strays.
That's why you can't tell me anything. It's the ribbon, isn't it?
So this
We're
is
destroying the
already
tree.
something of the,
No!
a cavalcade of the victims
We're not burning the trees
of
now.
the crimes for
Hey,
which we
you're
have
not
discovered
really gonna send me to the farm, are you?
over the course of this
The
playthrough.
rules are the rules. I don't get to make them, I just enforce them.
Bullshit.
Oh God, Bigby!
And for everything that's
This
going
time is
down,
no joke.
this
Eat
is
as
the
many
final
more shellings
act.
as you see fit,
So
but
this
take
is
just
where we
one
give
more silver round near your heart, and the
our
only
last
place
chance
I'll be
to
visiting
bring
you is
justice
the morgue.
to Fabletown.
Bigby, wait. When you get the Crooked Man, make sure you bring him back alive. He has to stand trial.
Why don't you have a seat, Sheriff? We have a great deal to discuss.
Hello. Hello, Ashi. You gonna be nice? You gonna behave while Daddy's doing his stream? Huh? Yeah, be a good kitty. Be a good kitty. Yeah. My good girls. Right, and as we remembered last time, we've come to the Crooked Man's house, or his base of operations, or what may you call it. We're going to have ourselves a little
must be
parlay.
tired. And if my envoys are correct, you haven't had a lot of rest recently.
And I don't expect this will go very well.
Please, Sheriff.
Certainly this
relax
fucking
for a
idiot
moment, will you?
is looking to start a fight.
Do you want a drink? Something to eat? Vivian makes a very nice, very It's elegant. Really a carpaccio. It's lobster. Sirloin. Well, gramercy me. Take a seat at the very least.
I'm here for one reason, and it's not to eat your fucking food.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think you're doing?
He's gonna...
Mr. Wolf is our guest, and I have every intention of cooperating. So don't waste the silver. Sit down, Jersey. Well, Sheriff.
Quite a
for the
nice
sake of
little setup you've
transparency, why don't you tell us why you
made
are
for
here?
yourself.
It would help settle everyone's nerves, I think.
You're destroying this town. You've been doing it for ages.
Destroying this town? What on earth do you mean?
What the hell do you think I mean? Slavery? Kidnapping? Extortion? Murder? What would you call the wholesale corruption of Fabletown?
I would call it the baseless accusation of a desperate sheriff. How are you certain this isn't some conspiracy against me? I'm a well-connected man, well-moneyed. People do like to take their shots at me.
Don't try to play me. It won't work.
I mean,
I'm not trying to control you.
in what
I have no need for
position
treachery,
are
but
any of the people in
everything right
Fabletown
out in the open.
who we
But
know
I
you're
understand
connected
the
to?
confusion, and I'm truly sorry about the trouble all this has
What position
caused.
are they in
And I hope you believe
to
when I say, Sheriff, that I sincerely
fake
mean to make it up to you.
on a large
Recent
scale
murders that have gotten such attention as of late. I don't relish
the
telling you
extortion,
that they were
slavery,
perpetrated by an
corruption, and
employee of
murder
mine.
that has been
It's a
committed
very
under
unfortunate
your
bit of
watch?
business, but I promise you that the matter will be dealt with internally. I just want to settle the issue for you and to assure you that it's over with. You really don't need to worry yourself further.
Yeah, these are all your hitmen out
I
here.
already know.
These
who
are all the
did it.
people that you're
Forgive me, Sheriff, for
working on
doubting
your
you.
behalf
But who do you think
to
committed these
uphold your
crimes?
empire.
It's been a long couple of days for you. Perhaps you've become somewhat
You wouldn't
unsure.
bloody your hands.
It was Georgie, all right?
Well done, Sheriff. I'm sorry I doubted you. However,
You wouldn't
like
call
I
in
said,
your assassin
I'd
for
be happy to
something
matter if you don't
as
mind.
minor
Yeah.
as killing
I
a
killed him,
prostitute.
so what? You should have just kept your nose where it fucking belonged.
Georgie.
Get your hands off me!
No, I don't think I will.
The fact is, George here misinterpreted one of my instructions.
Misinterpreted?
And I want to make things right. So, let's work something out.
What's there to work out? I'm protected, aren't I?
Your protection has limits, and I think you've far exceeded yours. That you could murder someone in cold blood like that.
You fucking asked me to do this.
And
You
then
told me
attempt
to
to
kill
blame
him.
me for it. You will be silent while we discuss what to do.
Yeah,
with
so
you.
Georgie did
This
it.
is right, bollocks, this.
He
You're
absolutely
just
did
gonna
it.
let him do this?
But now he's being used as a scapegoat.
So what do you say, Sheriff? Can we discuss terms? You can have Georgie. Consider it a gift, ensuring our continued cooperation.
What the hell?
Take this fucker. Take all of them. I didn't fucking
Don't
start
make
this.
any trouble, Georgie.
Are you seriously throwing me under the fucking carriage after everything I've done for you?
I think I'll be taking
Yeah,
both.
I think I
You're
will
not
take
taking me, you fucking
everybody
cunts.
here.
What the fuck is this shit? You said you'd cover for us.
For minor infractions, not murder.
Just go with him, Georgie. You're gonna sink us all.
What's wrong with you people? You're really gonna sell him out just like
You
that?
think I give a fuck if I'm the one? Who the shit do you think you fuckers
surrender.
are?
Get the fuck out of
I
here.
do apologize, Sheriff, but I think it's best if you leave now.
There's no way I'm going
Yeah,
with him.
no.
Are you kidding me?
Not
Things are about to
happening,
get
my dude.
unpleasant, and I would rather you weren't here to watch.
You can go join that whore at the bottom of the lake for all I give a shit. But he's not taking me anywhere. I'll roll over on the lot of you before I let that shit happen. Get the fuck away from me. He's the one you fucking want.
Yeah, I'll
This
take
could have
both
gone
of you
so
things.
well. But you just had to complicate things. To speak the truth, I've never been a very good mediator. Why negotiate when you can just decide?
Yeah, not even attempting anymore. Also, you don't scare me, bitch.
Did I miss anything good?
I'm not the fucking teenage
look at
girls
you,
playing a
all
prank
fixed up.
on fucking Halloween. I'm the real deal, bitch. I'm a monster that's been going on for a hell of a lot longer than you.
Over here! You're done, Wolf.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't think I am, actually.
I'd like to say it was nice knowing you, but I'll be glad to see your insides turned out.
What are you now? You really don't know who you're fucking with, do you?
Oh god.
And you don't know when to stop, you stupid deer-faced fuck.
This way.
How much of your ass do I have to kick before you stay down?
Come on, Georgie.
Oh, shit.
I know.
Yeah, so... apologies that I didn't give you this trigger warning beforehand, content warning beforehand for this stream, but there will be a lot of graphic violence involved here. And I'll try to call that out when it's especially graphic. And there are some depictions of suicide that I will be sure to call out before that happens as well.
What was that?
What do you think?
No!
Take him off!
I can't!
You play chicken.
You sure?
Do it!
He's not moving.
Keep going!
Come on.
Yeah, they'd never think to look for us at the only place they know we live. That's a really shitty place. A deli right next to a strip club. Yeah, so Georgie's not getting out of this.
Shit.
Man, I fucked him up even worse than I thought. Yeah, this scene in particular, some very heavy stuff going on. So, you might want to look away during this scene.
Come on. We can't.
For one thing, Georgie's got his guts hanging out.
I need a minute.
Okay.
And, there will be a,
How can you stand up? It's okay. Take your time.
not to spoil anything, but this is where the,
No way I'm walking out of here. Well, it won't be your fault.
this is where the suicide imagery comes into it.
Here. It's gonna be okay. We'll get you fixed up. Maybe Swinehart.
Swinehart don't give a shit about us. Shit. Hello, Bigby. I hoped you'd come to your senses. Crooked Man's the one you want. But of course, you're too much of an idiot to see that. Or maybe you just like me too much to let me go. That it, Sheriff? I had to say goodbyes first.
I'm taking you in, Georgie. Let's go.
You gonna carry me?
Yeah, I
Please,
will if I
Sheriff.
have to.
Haven't you done enough? Look at him. He's dying.
Vivian, you don't know what you're doing.
I'm trying to help you here.
Just leave it alone.
You can't seriously want to protect this guy. You know what he did.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, you
It
killed
isn't his fault.
He's
your
a murderer.
girls.
Faith and Lily, he's the reason they're dead.
Look, I know he made a few mistakes. We all have.
Mistakes.
He made sure they couldn't talk with those damn ribbons, and then he killed them. You're wearing one
Mistakes
yourself.
are not
Doesn't that
murders
bother
are
you
not
even a little,
mistakes.
knowing that man murdered...
Of course it does. Those girls.
So
were-
it's all my fucking fault then.
I
you
didn't
fucking...
mean-
You're gonna throw me to the fucking wolf too? You know I didn't have a goddamn choice. What the fuck? Ugh. I did what I had to!
Yeah, it doesn't
you
make it
can't
right.
fucking blame me for that.
Look, I'm
Sometimes you just have to do what you're told. Then it comes back to bite you in the ass because some good-for-nothing crooked bastard decides you're not worth shit anymore. Ugh.
Don't give me that bullshit. You're responsible.
Like hell I am. Look, Faith and the others tried to pull a run on us. And as you can imagine, the Crooked Man wasn't too thrilled. But of course, the big boss didn't want to get his fucking hands dirty. So he told me to take care of it. You think I don't know what that means? Either I do what he says or I'm the one getting dealt with. So I fucking killed him. And I'd do it again. 'Cause it's not my fault. The Crooked Man gave the order. He told me to kill them. And then he fucking sold me out. The both of you could
Yeah,
go rot in
he's
hell.
called the
George, you
Crooked
think I'm
Man.
the
This
one to
can't
fucking
come
blame?
as a surprise
not
to
what
you.
I meant. I was just trying
I
to...
know what you were trying to do.
You're still the one who pulled the trigger. Nobody held your hand and made you go through with it.
Fine. Believe what you want. I can tell you've made up your mind. Doesn't matter if it's fucking true or not.
I mean,
Go
both
ahead,
things are
rest
true,
of it.
Georgie.
But it won't bring back Lily or Faith. It won't free your friend Narissa. And I'm just the sap taking the fall for the whole thing.
Yeah,
It must be
but that's
so
not the
easy
point.
being you. Just come in here and blame
I'm
me
gonna
for all
take
this
you
shit.
down
Job's done,
because
right?
you're the killer,
George is the bad guy.
and I'm
It's all his
take your
fault.
fucking boss down because he's the one responsible.
But what was I supposed to do? You don't know what it's like, Bigby. How could you know? At the end of the day, you're just like him. Coming here, talking about options, like it was that simple.
You could have done anything else. You could have let them go. You could have freed Faith and Lily from those fucking ribbons instead of murdering them.
You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. If I freed them... What would you have me do? Kill her?
Georgie, don't.
It was them or Vivian. So you tell me, if freeing Lily meant she had to die,
Why
you
does
still
she
think
have
I had a fucking choice?
What are you doing?
I told you, you don't know the fuck about anything.
What are you talking about?
This is the original.
Why did anybody have to die?
The girl with the ribbon. I'm sure you've heard the stories. Couldn't
No,
take
I
it
haven't
off,
actually.
Couldn't talk about it. She used her little purple ribbon to make more of them. To keep our girls quiet. To ensure absolute discretion.
You promised you wouldn't.
All that magic is connected to this little thing. You remove hers, and the spell's broken. They're all free. But you know what happens to her? The same thing that happened to Faith. So don't you come in here and tell me I fucked up.
What the hell, Georgie? We were supposed to look out for each other. I trusted you.
You can't fucking blame me. You're not innocent here either.
I know that. But did it have to be like this?
Wait, those were your ribbons? You're in on this? I thought you cared about them.
I do. Of course I do. You have to understand, nobody was supposed to die. When we built this place, it was just a stupid idea. A gimmick. Discretion is our guarantee. That's how it started anyway. This was supposed to be our place. We were gonna be
And it was a
in charge for
really,
once,
really
and
fucking
nobody would try
stupid
to
idea
control us or use
to
us. That was
enforce
the
your,
point. And the crooked man showed up
discretion
and
policy by using magical
So, do you get it
items
now?
that would
Why I
kill
couldn't just...
the girls
If you
under
still
your
think
employ.
It's so fucking simple, then you do it. Go right ahead. Kill her then.
What are you doing?
Break the spell. Save the fucking day.
Stop it!
I told you, sometimes all your options are shit. What the fuck are you supposed to do then?
We'll find another way. She doesn't have to die. Maybe the witches
Don't talk
can...
about me like I'm not even here. Please. You think this is hard for you? My life is such a fucking burden on your conscience. Don't I get a say? It's my life. Like it was either of yours to give up in the first place.
I wasn't really...
Just shut up.
Vivian, I'm not gonna kill you.
I know that.
Wait.
I'm sick of everyone thinking that they can just do what they want with my life. I thought it would be different here. But it's all the fucking same.
Vivian, I didn't mean...
Do you think I wanted to be this person? What I did to Faith and Lily? To all of them.
Vivian, wait.
Every day I have to look Gwen and Hans in the eye and pretend I don't care. I have to forget what I've done to them. What I took away from them. I look at Nerissa and I hate myself.
Vivian.
I can't pretend anymore.
What are you doing?
Vivian, don't. Vivian,
Georgie.
no! Fuck! No, 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 no! Why'd you have to do that, Vivian? Vivian!
Just... Jesus.
Vivian, I didn't fucking mean it. I was just... Oh.
Yeah, so this whole case is a fucking shit show.
Oh, fuck!
Just a completely needless tragedy.
Get up!
Don't think so, Bigby. I'm gonna die here. I think we both know that. Just make sure you give the crooked man the same treatment when you find him. Really fuck him up for me, all right? For both of us. You know the bastard deserves it.
I mean, yeah.
Make a promise to a dying man. Give him hell.
Why do you care? Shouldn't you be more worried about yourself here?
Just wanted a nice image to part on. Old foundry by the river, all right? Shepherd Metalworks. He'll be there. Fucking asshole. You want to finish me off now? Or do you plan to kick me around a little first? Rip my limbs off one by one? That's what you want to do, right? Well, whatever it is, just get it over with. I'm not sticking around for much longer.
That's not who I am.
Sure it's not. No more games, all right? We both know how this ends.
I mean, he's clearly not getting out of here.
Just make it quick.
So,
I know what I did.
I kill the fuck out of him, which at this point is a mercy, or I leave him to die. Which is kind of more brutal. But this ain't gonna be pleasant for you, Georgie. This is what you had coming.
What? You're just gonna leave me here?
I'll send someone for your body. Both of you.
Fuck you!
They really don't give you enough time to, They really don't give you enough time to properly make these decisions. Like, that was a lot crueler than I intended it to be. But yeah, so long pudding and pie. Turn the light off when you're done. So that's one down. One to go. Two to go, I guess.
Still warm. He's here, all right. Of course. So this is where they've been sending these.
Alright. So now's the time when we have our big Terminator 2 fight.
The big bad wolf.
And Mary gets to do her little monologue here, thinking she's a lot scarier than she actually is. And of course, we've got to leave some evidence out to
You used to be something.
make everything clear what's going on here. So they've been spying on us, even taking photos they couldn't possibly be taking. So this is probably what the Tweedles have actually been doing. They've been spying for the Crooked Man, and they've been sort of keeping an eye on everybody, doing his dirty work. You know, and Mary is the the enforcer that he brings in when his fucking idiots can't do the dirty work, or the things have gotten too big to handle. You know, and obviously the lucky pawn that Jersey runs is basically a front for a laundering operation. And the implication, obviously, here we see Nerissa, Faith, and the glamoured Lily. These two were quite a little unit, a little trio they got going. And the reason that Faith was killed, and I suppose Lily too, is because they were trying to get out of their debts, banding together and trying to make a run, getting out of the pudding and pie, and trying to make a life for themselves. You know, they clearly come up with this plan they put together. And when the Crooked Man got wind of it, he told Georgie to deal with it. Which he understood to mean, you have to kill these women off, or it's going to be your head on the chopping block. You know, you have to punish these women to teach them a lesson. To send a message to anybody else who tries to get out from my iron fist, from my control that I have over this whole community. Because the Crooked Man, I think, I've said on one of the previous episodes, he's got a bit of a Napoleon complex. I think, because he's literally a crooked man. Like, his body was broken and bent, you know, and he was basically rendered an invalid. So he's done all of this work to get people under his control as a means of kind of compensating, I guess, for his own physical injuries and deformities, you know, kind of like this is his way at getting back at whoever was cruel to him by being more cruel and more controlling. And he has the money and the power and, you know, the kind of people under his sway that he can get away with this shit without consequence. Because he's counting on the fact that these kind of people, these vulnerable people that he's exploiting, are the ones that fall through the cracks of the business office, the ones who get overlooked. You know, the ones that Fabletown doesn't really care about. And over here, we have the actual, I don't know why he'd keep this, but he has the actual, torture device that he was broken on, which you may have noticed is also his symbol.
They'd hide anywhere their small, shivering bodies would fit.
Blah, 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 blah. Like, the actress is doing a great job here, delivering all this dialogue, but again, I don't really take the character seriously. I guess he keeps this around to use against other people now, which would also explain this foreboding placement of bleach and a sledgehammer. I guess it's another way in which he enforces his control through physical violence and torture. Yeah, the actress playing Mary, the voice actress, she does a great job. But just the writing and the directing of it, and the lines, the way that they put across the character, she's a little too cheesy, a little too B-movie horror villain for me to take seriously. I made the comparison to Freddy Krueger in one of the other videos. You know, she's less the first Nightmare on Elm Street and more like the fifth. You know, the 3D gimmick one or whatever, where he just became a complete clown. You know, he became a cartoonish character. You know, and just like with just like with the actress here, Robert Englund, who played Freddy, was great and charismatic and a joy to watch, but at a certain point you couldn't take the character seriously anymore, because he was just a fucking wisecracking chucklefuck who did things like put the souls of the damned in a pizza, you know, or play with a Nintendo Power Glove. You know, it undercuts the sense of menace, which is why after the series was finished, Wes Craven had to do a complete reboot and a kind of change the setting in New Nightmare to sort of revitalize him. And of course, in this smelting factory, I guess, is where they're producing all these silver bullets to use against Bigby.
It's about time you showed up.
I had to take care of some things first.
Little errand boy. That's nice.
So as you'll notice, she sucker punched you first.
I do apologize, but I have some business to attend to. I leave you in the capable hands of my associate. Come find me when you finish, dear.
Don't worry. This won't take long.
No,
Get out of my way
it won't.
Now, don't make this worse.
Aw, he doesn't want to play.
I'm sure you'll persuade him.
Wow, what a man. Stealing punches while my back is turned.
I mean,
Didn't
it's
your mother
exactly
ever
what
teach
you
to
did.
fight proper?
Yeah, and Mary's got this creepy little noise that she does, this kind of subtle, whispering, echoing hiss. And that's kind of cool. But again, it's sort of cheesy. It's sort of like you're trying to make her scary. You're trying too hard to make her scary and unsettling, instead of just letting her be scaring and unsettling. It reminds me a little of the Scarecrow in the Batman animated series, where they didn't really know what to do with him, because it was a guy with a sack on his head who tries to scare people with toxins. And there wasn't really a good way to make him scary, so they just completely redesigned him for the final season.
Where are you?
And basically turned him into, like,
Come out and face
a Western Undertaker, like a hanged man. And they weren't really sure if it was even a guy under the costume. You know, sometimes less is more. And I think they went too far trying too hard to make Mary a threat. So now we gotta take a level, because it's a little more complicated than Bigby with the halfway, the half measures up to. He needs to go full werewolf. And now we got a big surprise to find out there's more than one of her. She's using her fucking shadow clone jutsu, which again is another way to make this unfair on the the protagonist because now he's overwhelmed. He's outnumbered. It's another way that she's cheating to win this fight. Which is what a villain usually does in a fight. Because they can't match the hero without taking liberties, without fighting dirty. So it's like one-on-one, Werewolf Bigby here could probably take Bloody Mary. But now she's just overwhelming him. So how's he gonna fight? How's he gonna overcome the odds? By calling down the big boys. By calling in the big dogs. And this is why I say it's cute the way she thinks she's a threat, because she isn't. Like, none of y'all even know who you're fucking with. They call me the big bad wolf for a reason. Because I'm big, and I'm bad. And you don't know who you're fucking with. And I'm huff and puff and blow y'all away. Your ass is glass, lady. Yeah, you never really had a chance. And then there's this cute transition effect, so we don't actually have to show him going back to his human form. Unfortunately, we had his clothes just lying around here, so we don't have the awkward problem of having to confront the crooked man buck-ass naked.
Hello, Bigby. You look tired.
Give me one good reason not to rip you apart right now.
This gun holds 6 rounds of specially designed silver bullets.
Don't really care.
Next time.
Like, did you not just see me absolutely obliterate
Snow White wants you to bring me back
your right-hand woman?
And that's what I want.
That's right. But what happens to you once you get there is a different story.
I'm not quite finished. You will bring me back alive.
That was always the plan.
All I ask for is the chance to speak for myself in front of the community. And I'm sure Miss White would agree that I should be given a fair trial.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a fair trial.
I will have a trial. Are we clear?
The whole town will be calling for your execution.
But we know everything you did.
You want me to bring you back there?
You know, and we know we have like many witnesses because you've been extorting and exploiting the entire community. Like, they know what you've been doing.
This is just a precaution.
They know what you've been up to. I mean, we did kill the killer, but we know it was on your orders.
And I think you know that. All I'm asking for is a chance to explain my side of the story.
Bullshit. I already talked to Georgie. I know you ordered their deaths.
Mr. Porgy is mistaken, I assure you. I'm a businessman, not a killer.
There's still a
No,
lot
you let
have to
other
answer
people
for.
do the killing for
And
you.
I will, as long as you agree to my terms. Because I'm not saying another word until I'm brought before the community. I don't mean to belabor the point, but just so we're clear, if you change your mind and decide to do something stupid, you won't get your answers. But you will have a difficult time explaining yourself to Miss White and the rest of this miserable town. You're often reckless, and I worry you're not thinking of the... Let me ask you an honest question. What do you really care about here? Where this case is concerned, I mean. Do you really want the truth? Or do you just want to look like the hero? Because those are two very different things.
This is about protecting Fabletown. Some asshole murders two of our people. It's my job to bring them down.
Then why are you here? You know who murdered them.
I know who's responsible.
Georgie. He's dead, isn't he? My point being, the killer has been dealt with. You've won.
You really think I'm that stupid?
I understand you have an obligation to bring me in, but you can brighten up a little. It's over. So, shall we get going? I'd rather not dawdle. You know, I'm actually looking forward to seeing Miss White again. My previous interactions with her have gone rather well.
All right, let's go. Hand over the gun.
I think I'd rather hold on to it, if you don't mind. What do you say? Hey!
I say no.
I'm sure Miss White will be pleased. Such a reliable pup. I understand why she'd want to keep you around.
You're under arrest. You'll be given a trial in front of your peers. And your punishment will follow.
So let's be clear. This is not going to end well for the Crooked Man. It's also my most...
I know. But we have to do something. Are you fucking kidding me?
When is this thing happening?
Are we sure he's coming?
Yes, you'll have
should
an
I say,
opportunity. He's back.
my most
Thank God.
unpleasant experience with this game? Because this whole trial scene
Are you okay?
is stupid.
It's been hours.
And it's
We were worried
bullshit.
you'd run into some
And
trouble. At the
it's
Crooked
kind of
Man's
just
place. And after what happened with
infuriating.
Mary-
Well, he didn't make it easy.
What happened?
It doesn't matter. He's here. We got him.
We can talk about it later. You did well, Sheriff.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
I'll let it play
Not
out,
that you
but
did
it's
well,
just
but that, you know,
so frustrating.
I'm
Because
just glad you made it back.
basically, the Crooked Man doesn't have a case.
It's about time you showed up.
And he's just
Throw
trying
this
to talk
asshole
in
down the fucking
circles.
well.
And
Yes, what are
talk
you
his
waiting
way out
for?
of it with his silver tongue.
You killed Lily.
was my
Where the
sister.
fuck do you get off? You think you have the
But,
right to just
like-
do this to people? You're a fucking crook.
We know that he,
Everyone, can I have your attention?
we
Thank you
know
all
that
for
he
coming here on such short
is responsible for
notice.
this.
I know normally we'd schedule a
Like,
formal hearing,
literally
but
everybody
considering
in
the
this room
circumstances, I thought it best if we do this as soon as possible.
who isn't a part of the business
The
office
Crooked Man is charged
is being
with the murder of
extorted.
Faith and-
Already informed your sheriff. It
You know,
was
is
Mr.
being
Georgie Porgy
used
those women, not me.
for money.
It was Georgie?
Georgie.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Miss White.
You'd better shut your fucking mouth if you want to keep it.
Wait a minute. So you're saying Georgie's the motherfucker who killed my sister? Well, where is he?
Yeah, you're gonna bring that shithead in too, aren't you?
Yes, Sheriff. Where is the rotten scoundrel now?
Is he still out there?
I sincerely hope not.
Well, where is he?
Sheriff?
Georgie paid for what he did. In the end, there was a fight, and he bled out from his wounds. It's over.
So he's dead? That's what you're saying?
I can't believe it was him. So you see, the culprit has been punished. There's no
That
need
doesn't
for
change
this.
anything. We'll deal with it later, but right now, you're the one
Yeah.
I'm concerned with.
You
Like,
called the
again-
shots. Georgie made that perfectly clear.
In which case, you still have a lot
Everybody
to
in
answer for.
here is
And
being
I don't.
exploited
Would
for,
be allowed to speak.
in one way or
We
another.
have to read the rest of the charges.
What other charges?
Let her finish. Then you can have your say.
Yeah, we're gonna read the full list of
If you
charges
insist.
here. So, like, even if he
You
wasn't
are charged with
directly
the murder of
responsible
Faith and Lily, which Georgie
for
carried out on your order.
the death of those
Inciting
women,
violence against various members of
which
the
we know he
Constructive
was,
community,
he ordered
including
Georgie
the
to do
attempted
it, and then he
murder of
tried to
Sheriff
talk his way
Bigby
out of it.
Wolf.
Twice.
A misunderstanding.
Aiding and providing monetary support for the forced prostitution at the Pudding and Pie.
Yeah, and then there's all
Additionally,
this
you are
other
charged
shit
with multiple
that he
counts
does
of fraud,
that he doesn't even
extortion,
try
racketeering, and the illegal
to talk
possession
about.
and sale of magical artifacts.
And resisting arrest.
Oh, yes. Now, is there anything
Like, we
you
know
would like
that
to
your
say?
corruption went as high as the deputy mayor.
I had nothing to do with Faith and Lily, so you can strike that one from your little record book.
Bullshit!
Yeah.
Hell, you
Also, that's bullshit.
No, you're involved.
Come on, it's obvious.
And there's all the other crap he's done.
I know you're responsible. You've been behind all of this from the beginning.
Like, everybody here knows
We all know
you
who you
are
We
exploiting
know what
them.
you've
Just
done.
give it up already.
So, like, they
The
know,
Crooked Man has
know
committed
that you,
crimes against
they know
this
that you're full of
government
shit.
and, most
They
importantly,
know
its citizens.
that
These
you're
charges,
responsible.
if proven, are
Like,
enough
if somebody
to justify
acted
death,
on your
upon
behalf,
which
you're
your
still
body will be
responsible.
committed to the witching
Where it
well.
fucking belongs.
That's
So
right.
let's get
But
on
we
with it
promised
then.
you a chance to defend yourself, and I won't rob you of that right.
What the
You're
fuck?
really going
This
to
is
let him
about
talk?
justice. If we're ever going to pull ourselves together and make something of this town, we have to start doing things
like,
correctly.
let's-
no more snap
Let's,
judgments, no more
for one
secrets.
second,
We are going to treat
entertain his
everyone
bullshit
fairly,
argument that he
even when
wasn't
they don't
responsible
deserve
for the death of Faith and Lily, because he didn't
This is
directly tell him to say that, or that Georgie somehow misinterpreted him.
You
We
have
know
the
he's
floor.
responsible for all the other shit.
Thank you, Miss
Even if it
White.
wasn't
You've all met
directly.
Georgie. I don't have to tell
We
you
all
what
know
kind of person he was.
that he's been exploiting these
He
people.
was a total scoundrel, lacking in any sort of moral fiber.
We all know what kind of person he is.
A promise kept to a
And
mother.
the crimes
gonna
that we
get to
all
your
know
point or
that these
what?
people are all witnesses for,
Georgie was working for me, yes.
and they all
But he
know
was
of
not acting on my
what
behalf
he's
when he
responsible
killed
for.
those women.
That
That's
should be
his
more than
business.
enough
For that
alone
reason, I'm sure only he could understand. He murdered two of his most faithful
for him to
employees.
face judgment
I
in
had
front of the
nothing to do
community.
with it.
Tell
This
the
is such
fucking
bullshit.
truth for
He's
once.
always been a bit of a powder keg. It was only a matter of time before something like this happened.
But he's also responsible
a
for the death of
break.
these
You're
women
so full
that
of
set
shit.
all of these events in
I thought we could
motion.
discuss this like civilized people.
So we're not going to
Apparently
pretend
that's
like he
not
is.
going to happen.
Any of you
But this is his
actually
entire
believe this
argument.
bullshit?
He just talks in circles about how he wasn't directly responsible. He didn't
Wasn't I more than
actually
happy? I
kill
answered
you.
your questions. I was willing to cooperate.
What's he talking about?
You weren't being helpful. You were trying to set me up. Your people tried to kill me.
They get a bit carried away sometimes, it's true. Loyal to the end. They do it because they want to protect me, as I protected them.
No, they
You
don't.
understand wanting to protect what you care about, don't you?
Yeah, and it's like this whole trial scene goes on and on and on and on, and it's all bullshit. It's all
Right, they don't do it
a
because
bunch
they
of
wanna
fucking
protect you.
garbage.
You intimidate people.
And like
You
this
scare
is the
tactics.
this
They're
is the
afraid if they don't
culmination of this
follow
whole
orders, they'll end up
investigation.
Let me explain.
And it's
this to you.
just
My employees
it's
are
not
just that.
fun and it
Hired
drags on
I
forever.
see some of them are here among you. They are not my slaves. They are all free to make
No,
their own
they are.
decisions, as Georgie was.
You're not serious. I know what you do to people. I've seen it firsthand. What you did to Faith, the way you manipulated her. Do you really think any of those girls were free? Do you really think Faith
I'm
wanted
sorry,
to...
Lawrence. I'm sorry that your wife came to me for help, and I'm sorry that I decided against my best judgment to give her a distasteful job.
Right, and you
Yeah,
kept them
bullshit.
in debt so they couldn't leave.
Yeah, that's what you did to us. How you kept us all
You
in
forget
line.
it was not me who put you in that position. You all act like I'm some kind of tyrant.
Yes,
When your
because you
government
exploit
abandoned you,
people.
left you poor
You
and
take
helpless,
vulnerable
sniveling
people
on street corners,
and you put them under your thumb by offering them help, knowing full well they'll have to pay you back.
We didn't abandon anyone. We've been trying to help them.
Really? What about Auntie Greenleaf? Her story is not...
Yeah, we totally helped her.
She left everything she had back in the homelands. Everything that matters, anyway. With nowhere else to turn, she came to me for help. And what did I do for you?
You got my tree back.
I got
Yeah,
her
you
tree
got
back.
the tree back.
In turn, we used her magic to help poor Faples get
You
balance.
got the tree back
Because I
on
her.
the
She was able to make a living, provide for herself.
on the condition that she would sell black market goods for
Not
you.
much, but they asked me to come
You know?
work for them.
Really?
It's
Then you definitely
I'm doing you a favor.
No.
And as a good friend doing a favor,
She wanted my tree
maybe you
destroyed.
can do me
If she
a
had had her
favor
way, I'd be
for
hung out to
me.
dry on a clothesline
Maybe you can
by
do
now.
a favor for me. You know?
You were gonna burn her tree? Snow, why would you want that?
Don't blame Snow. She had her reasons. Greenleaf was using her magic to help Crane and the Crooked Man. That's why Snow wanted your tree burned.
That's not why.
It wasn't her fault.
You can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me. You hated Crane, and you hated him for wanting to fuck you, and you being too soft to notice what he'd do to get it. It had nothing to do with the Crooked Man.
We've made some mistakes. I've made some mistakes. But believe me, I truly want what's best for this town. And that may not always be clear right away. But I want you all to know that I care deeply about all of you. And so does the sheriff.
Yeah, right.
I can't promise you perfection. No one can. But I can promise to always have your best interests at heart.
Like you did with her?
Maybe you haven't noticed, but we've been doing all this to protect you. We're trying to stop people like him.
The Crooked Man's been exploiting you. Exploiting your hope for a better life. You would go to him for help, and he would take that weakness and add it to his strength. And if things didn't fall exactly his way, someone would die.
We're not gonna tolerate this shit anymore. The debts are wiped. His business is closed. He's done.
They're right.
You're all still afraid of him, even now. But you needn't be. His contamination of this town is over, and those girls will have their justice.
Yeah, it's like this is supposed to be a powerful moment of the community escaping their chains and banding together against against this man who's been holding them under their thumb.
Particle of evidence linking me to the
Georgie was working for you.
And, you know,
Bigby got a
it's-
confession.
It's probably not how
I'm no barrister.
a trial works. It's not how legal systems work. But I'm pretty sure, like, witness testimony counts as evidence.
History.
And everybody in here can attest to the fact that you've exploited them.
So, are we done?
And what about your history? All you've done to this fucking town.
What do you mean there's no evidence?
Maybe he's...
I mean, there's
this
a
doesn't
slew of
help.
evidence of how you have committed wanton acts of
This man
corruption.
tormented all of you for profit. Georgie
Let me
killed
just
them.
make sure I understand you. You're trying to say that I'm responsible for what Georgie did because he was working for me. at
Like
the time.
all of your connections.
Yes. Of course. Yes, you're responsible.
Well, by that logic, Miss White should be on trial for Tweedledum's murder. Since
No.
Bigby works for her.
That's
He
not
killed a man.
actually.
That don't make him a murderer.
Doesn't it?
What happened with Tweedledum wasn't Snow's fault. If you all want to blame someone, blame me. She had nothing to do with it.
Bigby and I have already discussed his behavior that night. We're handling it
Now, where
internally.
have I heard that before? How about the way he treated poor Tweedledee when he was in your custody? He was beaten to mashed apples while under your watch.
Under my watch.
Maybe he's right.
Did you think we'd all just let that go?
You can't be serious.
That was different.
What? You think you shouldn't be held accountable?
Snow had nothing to do with it. We all thought she was dead.
Besides, Crane was still deputy mayor when that happened. Right before you decided to kidnap him.
It was for his own protection. Oh, you're right, dear. Crane was in charge. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
That's enough.
So, you won't answer for your employees' behavior, but I must perish for mine.
This is completely different.
I did not order those two girls dead. It simply never happened.
Yeah, you
Georgie
did though.
killed Faith and Lily.
I don't care how you tried to
They
spin
want to
it.
scapegoat me for their own tangled ends, but they refuse
You
to
clearly
answer for
did.
their own crimes.
Like, you clearly instructed Georgie to do something.
We'll deal with them after we deal with you.
Listen, I know.
The laws apply when we need them to.
Bluebeard, please.
That's
I
not
mean, a
true.
certain level of privilege should be afforded to...
To who?
This is how it's always been.
Yes. See, this is exactly to what I'm speaking. We lashed
You're
our
speaking
ropes to
in
this
fucking
diseased world,
circles,
and
man.
ever since, which one of us
You're
has
saying
been?
nothing.
Who filled your lives with the promise of more? Who was there while they idly played in their towers, judging you, treating you as mindless children, too stupid to command your own destiny? Without me, who will pay your rent when you're on the verge of eviction? Who will dare challenge their brutality when it leaks to our dear citizens?
Oh, so it's okay if it comes from you?
Big bad wolf. Who will be
Bigby, Miss White.
Yeah, and by the way, we've got one more witness
I
here
wanted to make sure I had the chance to say
to
something.
speak.
Why don't you take a moment to catch your breath, little
What's
one?
she doing here?
I mean, she's part of the community.
I need to say something.
We're kind of in the middle of something.
She has something to say, and we're gonna listen. Go right ahead.
You probably don't remember me. I don't know why I was afraid to come
My
here.
dear, I don't
Just
know
shut up. You enslaved us for years. Let us hear stories about what you do. Told us we would lose everything if we stepped just one toe out of line. And we couldn't say a word about it because of these damn ribbons. But you know what? Now it's my turn to talk.
How are you?
I found Vivian's body. Did you kill her? Did he?
Sheriff, this is highly irregular.
Be quiet.
We need to establish some order here.
Vivian wanted you freed from the ribbons. She took her own life.
I'm sorry, I don't think I know
Nerissa! My name is Nerissa.
It's okay, my dear. It's going to be just...
He ordered them dead. This fucker. Faith and Lily.
That's a lie.
I was in the goddamn room when he did it. Faith and Lily are dead because of you. The only two people who ever gave a damn about me. And now I can finally say, you're an asshole. And I hope you rot at the bottom of the witching well for what you did.
We know what happened.
He made Georgie do it. It was always him. Georgie would have never done anything without his say-so. Ever.
You're going to take the word of a stupid...
At least 5 other girls will back me up on this. We all heard you say it.
Did you now?
Looks like we found our evidence.
She saw it first.
Yeah, again.
He's guilty.
Witness testimony.
Enough for me.
Me too.
So that's it, right?
Calm down the witching well.
Nah, that's too fucking
Like,
easy for a crook like
I'm
that.
sure
What do you
cases
mean?
have been
He's
won
gotta pay for what he did.
on witness
Listen
testimony.
to yourselves.
You're all rats, fleeing from one sinking
And this is
ship to the
basically
next.
him
So
confessing
quick
to it.
latch onto whatever will keep your miserable lives afloat. This is how you
Like,
want
he's
to
trying to
repay all
talk
I've
in
done for you.
circles.
What, you take 2 people's lives away and now you want mercy?
You know we can't let you go free after this.
But, like, he doesn't
What?
say anything.
What did you expect to happen here? You're getting what you deserve.
And it's just frustrating. You know,
Now, for your sentence.
it's
We don't
just
have to
not
become
well
murderers.
What are
done.
you talking about?
He's guilty. I know that, but we don't have to kill anybody. We can imprison him. Lock him up forever. Somewhere he can never hurt anyone again.
How can we be sure he won't escape?
I can help. We'll use magic.
That's
I
not
assure
good
you.
enough.
Maybe
There will
she
be
has a
more
point.
if he isn't
Hasn't
stopped.
there been enough
I don't give a
bloodshed
shit.
So we
already?
get rid of
It's too
him.
dangerous.
Get him out of here.
We can send him
Everyone,
away.
listen up! Clearly, we're having trouble agreeing on a suitable punishment. So I think
This is going nowhere.
Someone needs to make a decision. Who?
I hope you aren't suggesting yourself.
Why not?
What about a vote?
What do you think this is?
Everyone, calm down.
What about Bigby?
What about him?
He was appointed. He's the only official representative, really. He should be the judge.
That makes sense to me.
I guess it does.
Okay.
Fine. Are you sure? This isn't how
It's what the people want, Miss White.
Okay, Mr. Wolf, it's your call.
Snow.
Just do what you think is right.
Alright, I'm gonna need some time to have a think about it.
Do what you think is right.
Teach him a fucking lesson.
No.
He has to
We
die.
can lock him
Just
away.
fucking get rid of him.
Not this way.
Whoa! Okay. You just fucking played your last... Come on, dude.
There you are. I hope you all
No.
remember this moment. Think of me when you try to sleep.
You know, just between us, I was gonna let you live.
But now, I
You're going
won't.
to miss me.
No, I won't.
What are you?
Oh my god!
Ah.
For Lily. And Faith.
Yes. Another one of us to erase from the books.
Alright. And now we're gonna get our epilogue on this sad, sad story.
Oh, hi. Sheriff Bigby. Great to see you. I don't know if you remember me.
I know who you are, Flycatcher. You've worked at the Woodlands for how many years now?
I think I've lost count. Are you gonna come see the truck off? We're leaving for the farm in a few. Thought you might want to. I don't know.
I'll be down in a minute.
Okay, great.
This fucking line.
So there's that red-headed dude again. Or rather, a red herring, I should say.
Oh, Mr. Wolf, Flycatcher left his keys.
So yeah, things have changed in Fabletown.
Listen, Snow, can we talk? I wanted to...
I'm sorry, Sheriff. I have to take care of this. We'll talk later, okay?
Good morning, Miss White.
You're late.
Yeah, so, Toad, I give you so many fucking chances to get your goddamn glamour, and you just wouldn't
We only
do
have
it.
like 5 minutes.
Hey, carry me, for fuck's sake. I don't give a shit. You forgot these.
Oh, thank you. It's been pretty busy around here.
Morning, Sheriff. Nice fucking day. Shit! Just go grab that, would you? Sorry about all this. I tried to help. Just why the hell did she have to send me and me boy away, huh? You
Because
promised
you
me
wouldn't
I'll get another
fucking
chance.
hit
But Miss
your
White said
goddamn-
I had to go up to the damn farm anyway.
You wouldn't
Come on,
get your
Tom.
fucking glamour, my man.
I'm walking, all right? Calm down.
Wait! Sheriff Bigby! I have something.
You know, he was up crying all night, poor kid.
Can you give this to Miss White, please? Dad says there's no time to say goodbye, so if you could bring it to her, she was nice. So
What is it?
I couldn't take them all with me, and she said she liked that one the best. It's a willow beetle. That's a big one. They're cool, because when they're little, they have these pouches that squirt juice at you if you touch them.
I'm sure she'll love it.
She said it was pretty.
That's everybody.
What's it like at the farm? I've heard ogres live there, and they eat people in their sleep sometimes.
God, I hope not.
Do we have to go? I want to stay here.
Well, we don't have a choice anymore. Don't worry. You'll be a lot safer there. There's plenty of space to run around, and a nice river nearby, so you can swim all you want.
Even in daytime?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the Monday seeing you. It'll be nice. Come on. It won't be so bad.
Have you been there before?
No. Some of the animals aren't comfortable around wolves, so you wouldn't know, would you?
We're all set.
Bye, Mr. Wolf.
Goodbye, TJ. Are you still mad at me?
Would it change your mind? You got another one of those? How about a smoke for the road? One last time? Thanks, Bigby. Always a gentleman, aren't you, Bigby? I guess I'll see you around. Stay out of trouble, okay? If you even can.
I'll try.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so this is all
Saying goodbye.
kind of bittersweet stuff that would be pretty typical of these kind of noir detective stories. Nothing ever really works out for the best.
Hi.
Hi.
You know, you just try to do the best you
Still
can.
wearing that thing.
Try to get as much
Yeah. I
a
guess
sense
I am.
of justice.
It's not easy to forget. I know it seems
As is
like
possible.
I should be able to. It's just...
You need to let that go. How are you gonna move on if
Bigby, I know you're trying to help. But this is just something I need to do on my own. Listen, I came here because I have to tell you something.
What is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's about what happened to Faith and Lily. I'm not sure where to start. Faith, Lily, and I, we had this plan. We were gonna find a way out. Leave the pudding and pie for good. But then Faith decided to get some leverage. She stole a picture of Crane and Lily together. The minute Faith stole that photo, we had dirt on one of the crooked man's allies. If he found out, I had no choice. You have to understand. You've seen how they kept us quiet in that place. Can you imagine the lengths they go just to silence someone who had physical evidence? I had to.
Narissa, just tell me what happened.
I freaked out, okay? I thought if I came clean to Georgie, he'd get the Crooked Man to leave us alone. We could just forget the whole thing. Maybe try again in a few years.
You what?
So I told him everything. And I begged for mercy for all of us. I didn't want anyone to die over a picture.
So you sold them out?
No. Yes. Georgie promised he'd smooth things over with the Crooked Man. But then... Oh, God.
Here.
Thank you. I don't know what happened, but that night at the club, Georgie came back and told me things had changed. He had to make an example of us. We had committed treason. And while the two of us were sitting there, as he was telling me this, Faith walked in, and I had to watch while Georgie...
Wait, so Georgie told you all this? Not the Crooked Man? Back at the well, you said...
I know what I said.
But it wasn't the truth, was it?
What does it matter? I know the Crooked Man did it.
I mean,
So
it's
what if it wasn't the whole
close
truth?
to the truth.
It was true enough.
I guess what's done is done.
I know he ordered their deaths. I wasn't gonna
Yeah.
let him get away with it because of a stupid technicality.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially after.
Didn't technically kill those women, but we all know he was responsible
I tried
for
to
it.
warn Lily, but she wasn't with her scheduled appointment. So I did the only thing I could do. I left Faith's head at your doorstep.
You?
I walked her over here, and I left her. Just hoping that maybe if I couldn't save them, could at least save the rest of us.
You were trying to get my attention. So you started all this.
I just pointed you in the right direction. People like us get forgotten all the time. The Crooked Man was counting on that. When we suffer, we do it in silence. And the world likes it that way. We just fade, like we never existed. I couldn't watch that
Yeah,
happen to Faith.
and that's kind of the root
or
of it.
Lily.
You know,
Nobody cares about
when
us.
when the fables are
Really.
forgotten,
It's going to be different.
they just kind of
Promise.
disappear.
Things like that won't happen anymore. Not
You know,
while I'm
they
on.
fall into obscurity.
things right.
They fall through the
You and
cracks.
Snow.
I don't know.
You know,
Seems like
nobody
no matter
noticed
what I
them
do, it's
having a
just
war.
Not enough for her or anyone. I just can't win with these people.
I know it might feel that way, but they need you, Bigby. Both of you. You two make a good team. The way you look out for each other, and look out for us. You don't see that a lot these days.
I don't really know where we stand anymore. Things are just different.
Huh. Things are always different. Look, Bigby. After everything you've done for us, maybe they don't want to admit it, but without you, none of this would have happened. You listened when no one else would. You protected your friends, no matter the cost. And you brought justice to this town. Finally. Because you brought the Crooked Man in, everyone saw who he really was. So from where I'm standing, you did the right thing. You've been
Yeah,
given
I
this
like to
job
think
for
of
a
this.
reason.
I like to
I
think
left
of.
Faith at your doorstep because I knew if anyone stood a chance against the Crooked Man, it was you.
I've been making a lot of mistakes lately.
I like to think of this
you've
in
also
terms of
done
one of
a
my
lot of good.
favorite Star Trek
Don't forget
episodes from Deep Space
You've
Nine.
changed this place.
You know, it's
For
called
better or
In the
worse.
Pale Moonlight, and it's
Fabletown
basically
wouldn't
a
be the same
confession
without you.
of Captain Sisko confessing to his involvement in a horrible crime,
You're not as
which
bad as
he
everyone says you are.
which he's committed for the so-called greater good. And this is where, right at the end, we get a hint that even what, even after all the evidence we've found, all the things all the loose ends we've tied up, we haven't discovered quite the whole truth. And that's where the ambiguity comes in. And, where you kind of have to figure the answers out for yourself. Now, allegedly, there's going to be a sequel that's supposed to come out, or at the very least, a Chapter 2 that's going to come out at some point. I'm not sure when. It's, as with many things in development, and has probably been in development ever since this game came out. But I think this game, despite whatever faults it might have, it kind of stands on its own merits. It kind of stands as a complete story, where there's just enough involved in the story, just enough explicit, just enough on the page, on the screen, whatever, that is a compelling, full, and complete narrative, which leaves just enough clues and ambiguities and vagaries in the narrative that you can kind of put together the truth of, or at least a truth of the things that were left out. And I can go into my own personal theory of what's going on with this whole case. And I may do that in a second playthrough. Probably not broken up in this fashion, in this episode-to-episode thing, but as a full playthrough, beginning to end, from episode 1 to the very end here, all in one go, so that you can kind of follow directly how I put together the pieces and interpret how the truth behind this mystery kind of plays out. Again, that's just my interpretation. It'll just be my interpretation, and it's not necessarily, I don't have any kind of authority on it. I'm just making my best guess, and I'm not any kind of academic or professional critic. I'm just kind of a guy, just kind of a nerd with a little media savvy, a little media studies experience, who likes to look at pieces of art and kind of figure out how they go together. So, another thing I'm going to do, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the next stream. It may actually be that full start-to-finish playthrough. I was considering doing a run where, more or less, unless I feel I have to make specific dialogue choices, I'm just going to leave it as, I guess, what you'd call a silent playthrough, where I'll just let the silence be the answer to all the dialogue options. And but also I've been working on an idea for another thing that I wanted to do with this channel, which is going to be, I want to talk about more things than just video game content on this channel. I want to be able to stream more things than just video games. So it's all still kind of early days with the kind of equipment that I have to work with and my kind of knowledge and understanding of the software I'm going to be working with. So it's all going to be fairly basic stuff to start with. That's why I'm doing these streams from my PlayStation, my PS4, because it's the most direct way to connect to Twitch and still have a way of communicating with the audience like this. So it's going to be a little up in the air between now and the next stream as to what I'm actually going to do. But I will let you know. There's updates you can follow on the Johnny Worldbeater Facebook page, which I have a link to on my homepage on Twitch. I try to put updates up there, and there's other places you can contact me. I should be able to put some contact links up there too. And you can, as always, follow me on these streams live. I believe there's a YouTube page I'm putting together where you can watch these videos on demand and leave some kind of comments on them. Like, subscribe, share around, all that sort of BS. And I think, so that's the plan going forward. So, before I leave you tonight, I might just show you a few of the extras available here. There's a little thing that, here's our stats for everything we've done through the game. Blah, 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 blah. The sort of animal house, not an animal farm, that's another thing. Which might be kind of related, vaguely, tangentially, to this sort of thing, but that's another thing entirely. But, yeah. So, let me get to the fucking point of what I was saying. I think I'll close out here with, first of all, an advertisement for the comics, which are great, and are available at all fine book retailers. But yes, the one thing I think I'll do before I'm finished here is I'll take you through some of the brief summaries of some of the lore around these characters. Maybe not all of them, but we'll see how we go. And maybe we'll close out the night. We'll close out the stream with that. Okay, so, yep, this all seems fairly straightforward. We can just have a brief read through these kind of little blurbs here, and just go from one character to the next. Might take a drink before we do that, so my throat is nice and nice and clear, so I can read these out without too much of my typical stuttering and stumbling and mumbling over my words. Okay, so let's go through these quick as we can. Okay, Big Wolf, the Fabletown Sheriff, the renowned Big Bad Wolf. He's known for tormenting pigs and girls in red hoods, but is trying to put those dark days behind him. So again, that's that kind of characterization I've been talking about, where Bigby's objectively a villain. Like, he's the villain of many of those old tales. The fairy tales. The fables. Which this whole world is based on. But I kind of feel like it's kind of his responsibility, because he's one of the few people who has the kind of power and authority to be able to enforce law and in this community. And it's also like he understands that the threat that drove them out of the homelands is kind of a bigger problem than any of his little bullshit, and like they're all in this together kind of mentality. So like he's kind of taken all that on board and either come to it on his own or sort of been talked into the excuse me for a second. But yeah, like to think of he's kind of come around to this mentality that being the biggest and the strongest, he's got that with great power comes great responsibility mentality. That when you're the biggest and the strongest and you have the most power, it is a moral obligation to use that power to protect those who can't protect themselves. Very sort of classic superhero philosophy thing. And I like to think of it as this is his redemption. This is his way of making it up to all the fables whose lives he made worse through his, animalistic predatory acts. And he's trying to account for that, trying to make amends, trying to apologize, and trying to do better. But that also comes with the obvious caveat that he's still got all those impulses, those violent, predatory, primal impulses. And when you're still in a position that oftentimes requires you to enforce law through violence, through conflict with some dangerous people, you can't always keep that primal force in check. And it's like when you push, when a mouse is backed into a corner, it will strike at a cat. Not because it thinks it's going to win, but because you've given it no other choice than to, fight for its life. And there's also that ambiguity about maybe he just does it because deep down inside he just likes it. Maybe it's just part of his nature. And it's one of the more interesting things you can do with the character, as opposed to just having him be a straight up, white bread Boy Scout kind of guy, which I like to do sometimes in my own way. I like being a Boy Scout. I like being a white bread goody two shoes, because I think that's an admirable and aspirational thing to be, to just be a good person. But it's also it can get complicated to write that in an interesting way. So, yeah, you want to add a little bit of ambiguity, a little bit of shades of gray, as they say. And it's also, in that way, a lot more interesting than just being the Punisher and being an unrepentant serial murderer who just believes his actions are righteous because he has his own kind of self-imposed reasoning. It's shallow to be that black and white about complex stories, complex morality tales. Anyway, let's finish reading this. Bigby now acts as Fabletown's sheriff and remains in his human form mostly. However, due to his rough past, the citizens of Fabletown are slow to trust him. Bigby is determined to show that he's truly changed, but some instincts are just too hard to control. So yeah, again, that seems to be the main canonical kind of characterization, I think. But again, I've read just enough and know just enough about this world to get educated guesses, but I still have a bunch of the comics on my shelf that I haven't gotten around to reading yet. So, I could tell you more about that when I actually if and when I actually get around to that. But again, I am not an authority on these, on this situation, on these issues, whatever. Okay, let's move on to Snow, the assistant to the deputy mayor. Snow White may seem cold, That, I guess, is another kind of character design choice. Not just that she's called Snow White and has that snowflake blouse of hers, but she's also meant to be, which I don't particularly get, but she's also meant to be, I guess, kind of controlled and detached, and I guess that's her idea of, like, professionalism or something. Yeah, and again, okay, so this stems from her life of mistreatment and abuse back in the homeland. You know, that's, I guess, another valid thing to consider. You know, people who have gone through a lot of emotional trauma obviously have a lot of emotional baggage that comes with that, and that can make them detached or kind of afraid to interact with other people. And Snow is definitely, her story never came to a happy end, as far as this narrative is concerned. Okay, after escaping assault and imprisonment, not to mention an attempt on her life, she married Prince Charming. It wasn't long before Snow discovered that Charming cheated on her with her estranged sister, Rose Red, and she divorced him. After the Exodus, Snow focused her attention on setting up a safe haven for fables in the New World. Now she serves as the assistant to the deputy mayor of Fabletown. The Woodsman, fallen hero. Woodsman is one of the few men who went toe-to-toe with Bigby in the Black Forest days and lived tale to tale. In an attempt to save Little Red Riding Hood, he split the great wolf's belly open with his axe, filled him with rocks, and threw him into the river. To his dismay, his popularity faded, even his name is forgotten, and he is known only as the Woodsman. I still don't really have any idea what that symbol on his buckle is. You never really get a very good look of it, and it seems a little too abstract. Maybe it's like a deer or something? I don't know. But yeah, pretty much all of what you'll know about Woody is right there in plain English in the plot. You can have that dialogue prompt where he basically explains to you what he was even doing around Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma's house, where he expresses the fact that he confesses rather that he was basically just there to rob the old woman, and was just in the right place at the right time to paint himself as a hero. But, you know, obviously he wasn't really man enough to live up to that image, and over time it just became another sad story. You know, he's just one of those fables that faded into the background and became forgotten. Then we have Faith, the donkey skin girl. May hid it through the Exodus from the magical homelands with the clothes on her back, her husband, and nothing else. She was once a beautiful princess, happily married to Prince Lawrence of a neighboring kingdom. Her life should have had a happy ending, but the mundane city of New York wasn't kind to her or her marriage. With no money, Faith found herself turning tricks to make the rent for a cheap apartment on the outskirts of Fabletown. She had a difficult life, but she did what she could to survive in an unfamiliar world. So, that whole backstory we get about the story of the donkey skin girl, that is actually incredibly significant, and I think one of the key kind of narrative elements that really gives you a clue to some of the themes and some of the truth behind the narrative. You know, I think, as I've said many times, that this is a story about deceptions and disguises, you know, people withholding the truth or not showing you who they are, and you as a detective, as the person in charge of solving this mystery, have to dig through to get to the truth, to find out who these people are, who you're really dealing with, what happened to them, all those critical factors. And in that last conversation you had with Nerissa, where Bigby starts to remember all these lines of dialogue that he's heard over the course of the game, and starts to put all these seemingly fragmented, random pieces together, I think that's where you can really get your strongest hint of what the truth is behind the whole story. And I won't get into that tonight, but if I'm going to do a second stream, I will take you through all of that when I give you my interpretation of the events. Okay, Beauty. Beauty and her husband Beast once lived in an enchanted castle. They were forced to flee the homelands in the Exodus, leaving all their wealth behind. Now they live in a modest studio in Fabletown, New York. Though times were hard, the Beast working multiple jobs to pay the bills, the couple have the longest-lasting relationship of all the Fables. Beast and his wife Beauty left everything blah 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 blah. Without his former wealth, Beast must pick up extra work to make ends meet. He is able to get around Fabletown without a glamour most of the time, but if Beauty gets too angry with him, he becomes more beastly. If Beauty gets too angry with him... That sentence doesn't seem like it's written right. But yeah, as you can see, he becomes more beastly by the minute, growing horns and teeth. Despite occasionally bickering, the two are truly in love and have the longest lasting relationship in Fabletown. Mr. Toad, the slumlord, superintendent for a defunct tenement on the edge of Fabletown property. Because he's a 3.5-foot tall talking amphibian, Toad is required to keep, by Fabletown law, to keep his family and himself magically glamored to appear human. The problem is Toad isn't too concerned with what the law is and has to be reminded often, which is why he's going to the farm. Colin, couch surfer, better known as one of the little pigs back in the Highlands. They were harassed by the big bad wolf who blew down Colin's house of straw. After the Exodus, Colin and the other Fables who couldn't pass for human were sent to live in the farm, upstate New York. Unable to stand the boring life, Colin constantly makes trips down to Fabletown to bother Bigby. He's always caught and sent back to the farm, but doesn't let that stop him. Yeah, so again, it's an interesting dynamic for Bigby, especially. He's trying to make amends for his past wrongs, that one of the little pigs is always breaking away from the farm and coming to hang out and crash on his couch. And also you notice that fact that this is one of the little pigs, but you don't hear what happened to his brothers. And I think that's by design. Ichabod Crane, Deputy Mayor of Fabletown, hailing from the haunted town of Sleepy Hollow. Ichabod Crane has been Deputy Mayor of Fabletown for nearly 115 years. So his kind of pastoral type of dress would probably have been appropriate for the era in which he was actually working, but he just hasn't updated with the times at all. Because he is kind of an old fuddy-duddy. Excuse me for a second. Crane is a bundle of nerves and takes his job very seriously, though that doesn't mean he always does it well. As one of Fabletown's elite, Crane is often blind to the troubles of less well-off citizens. Overall, Crane is authoritarian, cowardly, and always hiding something. Buffkin, the Fabletown librarian, talking winged monkey from the land of Oz. Now, as Fabletown's librarian, he spends time reading as stealing the deputy mayor's booze. He's prone to mischief, so when something goes wrong, he assumes he'll receive the lion's share of the blame. He's helpful when he wants to be, but most of the time he'd rather be drinking. Someone would have fired him long ago, but he's the only one who can make sense of the filing system. Okay? Cool. Fabletown is a community on Bullfinch Street in Manhattan's Upper West Side. So I think this would probably be approximately in the sort of area where Harlem is, which I think has always often been considered one of the more shall we say, underdeveloped communities in the city. By reputation, anyway. You know, maybe there's in recent years been, or even in recent decades, been strides to improve the quality of life in that particular area. You know, again, I'm only guessing because I can only speculate because I'm not from New York, obviously. I'm not even American, despite what my voice would lead you to believe. But yeah, I think what that little piece of information is trying to communicate is that Fabletown is not a well-off community. You know, it's not a great place to live and, you know, try to survive in, really. Okay. What appears to be an ordinary neighborhood is really the homeworld of the fables of many worlds, and within the business office at the Woodlands lies a Messer's Cavern, a vast library, and hundreds of magical items of immense power. All non-human fables live upstate on the farm, extension of Fabletown. The farm is home to the fables who cannot pass as human, giants, goblins, animals, etc. It is located in upstate New York, far enough away from the Bundys to avoid detection. Some of its residents resent their confinement to the farm, despite its size and comforts. To them, the farm is a prison. They would be allowed to leave the farm if they could purchase a glamour, but many don't have the money for something so expensive, though some, like Colin, sneak out into the city anyway. So again, that's what I was talking about. Like, the farm is not a horrible place, but it's not a pleasant place. It's not the kind of place people want to actually be. And they feel like they're imprisoned there because they can't go anywhere else just because of their nature. You know, and they're also financially, you know, trapped there, as many poorer communities are, many vulnerable communities are. Like, they can't really escape their confinement, they can't escape their imprisonment, because they lack the means to elevate themselves from that position, with rare exceptions, obviously. Mondays, short for mundane. Monday is a catch-all term for fables. Catch-all term that fables use to refer to non-magical inhabitants of their adopted home. Warding spells placed around the blocks of Fabletown and the farm keep their minds distracted and dull within certain boundaries. However, if anything should pique the curiosity or scrutiny of a large group of Mondays, these magical protection charms would overload and fail. As Sheriff of Fabletown, one of Bigby's primary functions is ensuring Fabletown community maintains a low profile. So, yeah. Excuse me. Now, in episode 2, when Bigby goes to have that kind of interrogation at one of the human police stations, with that detective there. Apparently, in the original kind of idea behind the game, in the original kind of spec script for the narrative here, that detective was supposed to have a much larger role, and it's probably because they couldn't find a way to integrate that idea that, yeah, this is a human world and these fables are trying to maintain their cover in it. So I think what probably was the intention is that humans get involved at some point, find out about it, and then the fables have to do kind of a cover-ups and stuff, damage control and that sort of thing. But obviously, like, just the way that the game played out, they couldn't integrate that aspect because they were trying to focus it down, trying to balance too many balls that they were juggling, so to speak. So they had to cut a lot of those ideas out to make it a more focused narrative. Alright, glamours are spells that allow the user to change appearance. They're expensive, but can be purchased by non-human fables in order to pass for human among the Mundies. Cheap glamours can be found in the seedier parts of Fabletown, but are often unreliable and prone to sudden failure. Prince Lawrence, Faith's husband, after escaping the homelands, Prince Lawrence and his wife Faith immediately fell to the harsh realities of the mundane world. They moved to New York, hoping to find aid in the community of fables, but without enough money to live in Fabletown, they had to settle for an apartment on the outskirts of the neighborhood. Fortunately, that meant they were out of sight and out of mind when it came to government assistance. Prospects dwindling, Faith left Lawrence to try to make it on her own. Now, without his wife for support, Lawrence struggles to motivate himself and quickly sinks into depression. So yeah, I like to save Larry in that first episode because Larry's kind of obviously gone through some shit, and you want to help a guy like that who's gone through some shit and who is deeply, in a pit of despair, because that's, in my opinion, what a decent person should do. Try to help people that are struggling, especially when they've fallen this far and are in such a desperate situation. The Tweedle brothers, D and Dumb, are thugs for hire. They appear human, allowing them to carry out their contracts in the Mundy world without drawing suspicion. Inseparable as they are ruthless. Holly, the Trip Trap owner, no-nonsense kind of troll, and the owner of the Trip Trap bar. Glamored to appear human, but her patrons know better. Holly takes good care of her regulars, often the downtrodden fables with little to spare, but she has no patience for Fabletown government that has done nothing to locate her missing sister. So again, she provides kind of, I guess, a safe haven for those fables that have fallen through the cracks and have nowhere else to go. They kind of build a community around each other, and Holly provides a place for them to get together and do that. Which is probably why people like Grendel and Woodsman gravitate towards her and develop such loyalty with her. Grendel just wants to be left alone. In the old days, he terrorized Norse mead halls, but lately he can be found occupying a stool in various quiet, dumpy bars around New York City. He hates the noise of the city, but must work there to afford his glamour. Despite his gruff bearing, he's fiercely loyal to those who've learned to offer him the space and silence he desires. Talking to him is like watching a ticking time bomb go down. It's only a matter of time. So again, I think Grendel's role in the story probably seems, from that very first episode, to be kind of a mirror to Bigby. He's got that gruff exterior, but a sense of honor beneath the surface, but he's also extremely, violent and has trouble containing his more violent nature, especially when it's his friends that are on the receiving end. Bluebeard, wealthy scoundrel. Bluebeard managed to escape the homelands with his riches intact and continues to be one of the wealthiest fables in New York. The Fabletown government depends on his generous contributions, and he often uses this influence for his own benefit. As a former serial killer, he claims his days of decapitating his brides are over, but even if he was able to leave his violent ways in the homelands, he still hasn't stopped him from making the occasional trip down Crooked Lane. Okay, and this here, these two choices represent basically whether you choose to make the pacifist or the violent decisions right from the first episode of the game. So you can either choose to spare or mutilate. You know, maintain your control or lose it. You know, give in to your primal nature. Okay, in the days leading up to the Exodus, the Big Bad Wolf hunted armies of men and goblins in the Black Forest. These invading forces had driven off the great beast's preferred quarry, and their own flesh was rotten with corruption, hardly a suitable replacement. He made it his game to destroy their camps, devour their night watchmen, and disrupt their supply chains while sparing their prisoners. One day he broke their ranks and discovered a particular woman held captive. Her skin was white as snow, but her hair was dark as the night sky. As he approached her, and she, knowing no sword could match the giant wolf's power, bravely placed her shackles in the beast's mouth. He freed her, but years would pass before the two met again in the Mundy world. So yeah, that's obviously one of the things that's motivating him too, is his relationship with Snow. And I guess kind of wanting to be a better person for her. So, long ago in the homelands, the North Wind fell in love with a blazing white she-wolf. Taking canine form, he courted her and stayed by her side for 2 seasons. However, the wind by nature must change direction, and the North's temperament carried him back to his wintry castle. The she-wolf, heartbroken, soon after her lover left, gave birth to a litter of cubs, including the one that would become the legendary Big Bad Wolf. Watching his mother die of sadness and unrequited love, young Bigby Wolf swore vengeance against the capricious North Wind. 7 times the beast journeyed to the great castle, but was no match for the elemental might of his father. Having failed to taste vengeance, he swore to think no more of his dead mother or loathsome father. Buried hatred, however, is seldom forgotten. So that's basically the backstory behind the Big Bad Wolf. It's drawing on a lot of different aspects, but essentially this is an excuse for why Bigby can be like a supernatural, like not normal wolf, and also why he can channel the wind, you know, such enormous powers of his breath, because he's invoking the elemental power of his father, who is an elemental being. Okay, Ichabod's denial. Legend of Sleepy Hollow. During his days in Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane fell in love with a wealthy young woman named Katrina Van Tressel. So, yeah, as you can tell, Ichabod, I guess, is prone to being obsessed with beautiful women, and he's a sleazy fucking creep, as portrayed in this version, anyway. She was beautiful and very rich, but that meant she also caught the attention of another suitor, Abraham Braun Van Brunt. As Ichabod's rival, Brom would plan nasty pranks in order to humiliate the often superstitious school teacher. Despite Brom's plots to win Katrina over, Ichabod believed he would be chosen as her favorite. After a party at her father's home, Ichabod proposed to Katrina and was very quickly rejected. He rode off in shame and was never seen in Sleepy Hollow again. So I think that probably is part of his obsession being rejected by another beautiful woman. He's very much got big incel energy. He immediately rode off in shame and was never seen in Sleepy Hollow again, according to Crane. He was chased out of town by the Headless Horseman, but in reality, it was probably just another one of Brahm's pranks. Bluebeard's Mercy. Bluebeard's last wife. After a long line of marriages resulting in mysterious disappearances, Bluebeard's last wife in the homelands was naturally suspicious of him. One day, he departed on business, leaving her alone in his estate. He gave her free reign of all the rooms, but made her promise not to open the closet in the ground floor. She defied him, of course, and discovered the location of his missing wives, but when Bluebeard returned, he knew he must kill her before she revealed his murderous secret. She persuaded him to allow her a moment to pray, which he reluctantly granted. The small mercy gave her brothers time to arrive and rescue her, and Bluebeard's crimes were exposed. The 13th floor of the Woodlands building is home to the group of witches and wizards tasked with the protection of Fabletown. They use their powers to keep the community hidden from prying Monday eyes, but all magic has its limits, and every spell has its cost. The magic mirror speaks mostly in rhyme and demands that others do the same. He also requires the name of whatever object or person you wish to find. If you follow these rules, the mirror will show you a glimpse of whatever you want to see, but nothing more. The Witching Well is located in a chamber inside the Wonderland building, where it is used to dispose of things meant never to be seen again. Dead fables are committed to its depths, as are the most unredeemable criminals. No one is entirely sure what lies at the bottom of the Witching Well, nor indeed if it has a bottom at all, but is widely assumed to be a passageway to their final resting place. Jack Horner, as again I mentioned in one of the episodes, Jack is representative of every Jack you've ever heard of in fables, or nursery rhymes, or fairy tales, or the like. Jack is always up to something. He's not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. His plans get rich quick, often backfire, but his confidence never wavers. He thinks he's the most important person in Fabletown, but everyone knows him mostly as a harmless smartass. Which, again, character traits which were obviously interesting enough for the author, Bill Willingham, who created the Fables universe, that he decided to do an entire spin-off series directly dedicated to Jack, which is called Jack of Fables, if you were interested in looking that up. Lily, the estranged sister, Lily and Holly grew up in the homelands together, but had falling out shortly after moving to the mundane world. Aimless and increasingly destitute, Lily turned to prostitution, and now she's the second victim of an ongoing murder investigation. So, unfortunately, that's about as much as Lily gets. She's unfortunately more of a plot device than a character, which is kind of sad and tragic in its own way. Lily's brooch, the Troll Cross, an amulet made of iron that was foolishly thought to protect the wearer from trolls. Lily acquired hers while wandering through the wilderness searching for something to eat. She came across a human, but before she could devour him, he held the troll cross out and shouted, "Back, back, you troll." After enjoying her tasty snack, Lily plucked the cross from the dead man's hand, and after the exodus, she wore the troll cross constantly as a reminder of better days. Georgie Porgy, the pimp, runs the Pudding and Pie, a strip club that also caters to the unmentionable desires of Fabletown's citizens. He has tried just about everything there is to try in pursuit of worldly pleasures, but none of it satisfies him for long. He does seem to enjoy pushing people's buttons, takes pride in his nightclub, and doesn't react well when anyone meddles in his affairs. Clever Hans, bouncer, janitor, handyman. Clever Hans always does exactly as he's told. However, he often misunderstands his instructions and ends up hurting himself or behaving oddly, as is the case in his noted fable, where he threw sheep's eyes at his wife. Unsurprisingly, she left him, and now Hans works as the bouncer at Georgie's nightclub. Hopes to dance on stage one day, but for now he's content sweeping up and making sure the crowd doesn't get out of hand. So yeah, Hans takes things literally, so when you use, like, I guess, turns of phrase, like say if you asked him to make an armchair, he would probably make a chair literally out of arms. He's that kind of character, I guess. You know, thick-headed, literal-minded sort of thing. Which I think is what his fable, his backstory, is all about. And the rest of The Little Mermaid, her story never had a happy ending. Snow Little Mermaid, the young girl who gave up her tail for a pair of legs in the hopes of winning the heart of a handsome prince. When he married a princess instead, Narcissa was left heartbroken. She made the journey to the mundane world, hoping for a better life. Now she dances at the pudding and pie, but each step takes feels like walking on shards of glass. Okay, I'm not sure if that's, like, metaphorical or literal, because her legs, she doesn't know how to use her legs properly because she's a mermaid. Very left, but finds some comfort in the company of her fellow dancers. Troll Funeral writes, the gaze of Great Mother Death is always upon us. Beneath her affectionate eye we fight our battles. We nurse our wounds, we shout our victories. We end sorrows, endure our sorrows. And when we fall, she is there. Her embrace is silent. It's the silence of the mountain, the heavy piece of stone. Approximately translated, a troll funeral is a sacred ritual passed down by oral traditions from troll mother to son. It begins at sunset with the creation of the cairn. A small pile of stones represent the many generations of trolls that have traveled and died before them, the foundation upon which the living stand. Weapons are divided amongst the trolls' closest comrades. The body and the rest of the possessions are burned, and though each viewer must speak to the life of the lost, the eulogy's candor would make Mondays blush. Georgie's girl, Vivian. Much of Vivian's past is unknown, so she prefers not to talk about her life back in the homelands. She wanted to start fresh in Fabletown, but finds herself working for Georgie at the Pudding and Pie. It's not a terrible life. Georgie took a liking to Vivian, so he doesn't make her take jobs at the Open Arms. Instead, she plays hostess, and helps Georgie ensure complete customer satisfaction. Dr. Swinehart, the army surgeon, resident physician of Fabletown, skilled in the art of instrumental surgery that he can safely operate on himself. He served as an army medic for many years, sometimes using his talents to impress the locals. Currently runs special research section at the Knights of Malta Hospital, so named to discourage people from investigating what is actually a reserved Fables-focused health facility. So these two may again be like lesser-known fables or even urban legends. We didn't get a lot of chance to see Flycatcher, but he's the former Frog Prince. Kermit the Frog here. Anyway, former prince turned to a frog by a witch. The friendly, genial Flycatcher now carries the nickname as an unsettled reference to his propensity for catching and eating flies. His wife and the children were brutally murdered back in the homelands. Fuck Christ. In fact, he attempts to deny himself by committing to a series of endless tasks and janitorial duties. Yeah, so everybody's got some super fucked up backstory. Headless Horseman, the Hessian spirit. Thought to be the spirit of a particularly fearsome, especially macabre German military contractor, the Headless Horseman lost his head from cannon fire during the Revolutionary War. most famous for hounding Ichabod Crane one night in the woods of Sleepy Hollow, it is rumored that this phantom is only the most recent incarnation of a primordial demon, whose previous forms include a middle-aged chieftain who brandished a whip made from human bone, and a Scottish lord who was decapitated in a fight over shares of land. Trip Trap Bar, the oldest bar in New York. The Trip Trap was established in 1725 in secret by Starkad, the legendary Viking and reprobate, as a place for fables to meet and drink and commiserate. Known then as the Grammarian's Tavern, he eventually lost it in a bet to a tribe of mountain trolls, who quickly renamed it and made it their own. Holly is current proprietor, having inherited it from her mother when she died in a boating accident. She died in a mysterious gardening accident in the early 20th century. Andy Greenleaf, the White Deer, horticulturist, alchemist, and lover of animals. Andy Greenleaf is one of the few rogue witches still living outside the 13th floor, unsupervised and unrestricted. Rumored to have lost a daughter in the homelands, she suffers paranoia and depressive mood swings, and will only venture outside at irregular hours under the guise of an ethereal white deer oft-whispered specters of Brookhaven natives. Yep, so I talked about that urban legend when we got to that point in the story. So again, a lot of these aren't necessarily fables, so to speak, which is also accounts for why you may not know much about them, because some of them are especially obscure urban legends. Last Seed, the Glamour Tree. Grown from seed spirited away from her family's enchanted orchard, this tree is the sole remaining source of Andy Greenleaf's magical enchantments. Its bark is used for glamour tubes, its leaves are crushed for ointments and spells, and its twigs and sticks can be used as rods for a variety of entrancing purposes. So, I'm gonna be honest, when I got to that scene and saw for the first time, and the first time playing the game, and a lot of times subsequently, it's a little ambiguous to me whether Auntie Greenleaf's attachment to the tree is actually just because it's the only thing she has left from the from the homelands. Oh, and we have a new follower here. Welcome, Zach Robinson. 123456. Welcome to my world. I hope you're enjoying the stream. Yeah. So, what was I talking about? Yeah. When she does the whole act where she's posing as her daughter, like, we know that that's a person. We know that it's her daughter. We see the photos in her apartment, and we read here that she is rumored to have lost a daughter. So we know that's a real thing, but she appears to be living there on her own. So I made the leap in logic that maybe the tree was actually her daughter, was like cursed into this form or something. You know, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility, but maybe it's just like it's a tree. Maybe I'm just thinking too hard about some of these things. Alright, glamours can be produced in a variety of ways, but one of the most common due to its ease and use is to take a small hollowed-out tube or container and place within it several items unique to whomever the caster wants to copy, which is required for the reactionary charm. Two downsides of this type of glamour is that totally unique appearances are completely impossible, and the nature of the vessel makes it quite unstable. The Ring of Dispel, the Arthurian Band, reputed to be fashioned by a Byzantine clan in an attempt to ward off a coven of witches. The Ring of Dispel, or Dispelling Ring, or Magic Cancelling Ring, eventually was given to Lancelot by the Lady of the Lake, recovered by the business office and after the emigration to New Amsterdam, which is what Old New York was once called. it was assigned to Greenleaf for caretaking. Bloody Mary, the urban legend, true history of the person known as Bloody Mary is almost completely unknown, even to fables most acquainted with its members. Her name, Mary, at least, is not up for contention, nor is a penchant for shocking violence, an inlaid resistance to magic and spells, and a strange ability to use any reflective surface as a portal, effectively shortcutting space and time. Thought by Mundies to be a wailing apparition of a childless ghost, though any evidence of that is as yet obscene. So, Mary actually has some really cool powers, but I think that's one of the other ways in which she's kind of an underdeveloped character. Like, we see some cool shit she can do with the way that, I guess, she uses broken glass. I assume it's broken glass since all of her stuff is to do with glass or reflective surfaces, but she can essentially, like, clone herself in various aspects. And she can do shit like pass through time and space through mirrors and shit. But again, like, you get hints of what she can do, but it's never really, like, kind of taken to its full potential in the way you might see in, like, a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where the stories are often sometimes entirely built around thinking about one particular ability that you give to a stand. You know, the magic ghosts, apparitions and embodiments of spiritual energy or whatever the fuck they're supposed to be. And, you know, they'll just take it to the extreme ends of everything they could think about what this thing could possibly do. You know, with the best example being the fucking, probably the fucking radio tower or whatever it is, where it's like a prison, but if you step outside of it, you turn into a metal, and you can, like, manipulate the radio tower and fly on bolts and shit, but you can't get out of it, and, like, you have to trick somebody into standing inside of it, and blah, 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 and all this weird fucking high concept shit. But it's like, what would compel you to come up with all this crazy, wild, imaginative shit? Like, to take it to that degree of logic, like, it's fucking cool, but it's also, like, insane the level of thought that was put into all the things you could do with this one crazy concept. And whereas you have a lot of times, you'll see in stuff like comics or anything with, like, supernatural abilities, and they'll give you, like, some slight hint of an idea, you know, some basic grasp of what that ability can do, but they'll often, like, undersell it or even misunderstand it, you know, misunderstand how things even work, or they'll sometimes, like, change the way the abilities work sometimes. You know, it's very rare that you see an ability that is, like, ironclad, this is what it can do, and nothing more. But there's things that you can do with that particular ability that are just wild. You know, and if you have enough imagination, you can use that single ability to do incredible things. You know? Anyway, that's enough of that. Silver bullets obviously kill werewolves. Legends of great magical wolves often make mention of the weakness against weapons made of silver. And those tales bear out and out to be true. The silver bullet Mary shot Bigby with was not the first. Any could be his last. Any silver left in Bigby's body weakens the system, slows his healing, and can cause long-term damage. Acting Deputy Snow White with Ichabod Crane firmly out of the picture and King Cole still absent. don't know what that's about, you have to read the comics, but whatever. Task of leading Fabletown falls squarely on Snow's shoulders. She has performed many of the job's duties for a long time. Yeah, so basically, she's just doing what she was already doing. You know, all the duties that Crane was supposed to handle, but he never actually did because he's corrupt and cowardly and self-serving. And also, as we found out, in the pocket of the Crooked Man. Performed many of the job's duties for a long time, picking up the slack for Crane. Now she's fully in charge of the business office, has to deal with a new level of politicking she had not previously been exposed to. The donkey skin coats. Only truly beautiful will fully understand the power of a coat that makes its wearer appear ugly. It is the power to be invisible while still being seen. Unfortunately, its value can also be hard to see, but it's a magical coat, and to some collectors, that is enough. Yeah, so this is Faith's coat, which, as we learned from her backstory, was how she was able to sneak away from the circumstances she was kind of trapped in. And I think all of these aspects of Faith's fable, they're made explicit in the narrative to give you some hint as to the truth behind what the ultimate truth behind the story. Am I talking in circles? Am I blathering a bit? I mean, I guess that's kind of the thing you have to do when you start out doing streams, but I tend to ramble a lot anyway. Anyway, let's see if we can... How far are we in now? So... we're about here now. So just over halfway, a little over halfway. So we should be able to get through these before this stream gets a little too long in the tooth. So here we go. I believe this might change if you choose the right thing. No. I unlocked all these earlier anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this probably unlocks in the Lucky Pawn fight, depending on which of the magical items you smash Jersey Devil's face into. Briar Rose, the Sleeping Beauty. One of the few fables to find fortune in this world, Briar Rose has even turned her weakness into a strength. When her fingers pricked, it not only puts her to sleep, but also those with a certain radius of her slumber. So that's a very kind of JoJo interpretation of that. You know, you have an area of effect for your power. This can be a powerful tool, and is just one of the ways this Sleeping Beauty is more than a pretty face. If only she didn't need a kiss from a prince to wake her up. Jersey Devil, Garden State Goon. Not all of the fables who came to this world landed in Fabletown. There are those who scattered across the farthest corners of the earth, and there are those who simply prefer the Garden State to the Empire State, such as Jersey Devil. Reports of his appearance have varied, although most accounts make mention of leathery wings, which he apparently doesn't have in this design. But an encounter with a certain axe of legend some years ago has temporarily rendered that feature absent. Okay. So apparently the reason he doesn't have bat wings is because they got cut off. So I guess those stumps on his back are the remnants of it. Oddly, they don't make mention of his fucking skeleton deer face. But what are you gonna do? Woodsman's axe ensorcelled by druids? I mean, I guess that's just a synonym for enchanting, but whatever. Once just a simple tool for felling trees, the axe became much more when it was ensorcelled by druids and marked with their runes. But it truly became an object of legend when the woodsman used it to slice the big bad wolf from nave to neck in protection of Little Red Riding Hood. It may carry old world charm, but its simplicity of design and quality workmanship make it an effective tool or weapon even today. It looks very... It's weird to me because it looks like something you'd pick up at a hardware store. And I don't know if that's just adapting to the way of the world, like if that's a magical aspect of it, or if it's just some weird anachronistic mystical item. Johann the Butcher his name is often said in the same breath as the baker and the candlestick maker of Fabletown. And like those other tradesmen, Johann the Butcher's storefront has served Fabletown for ages, fresh cuts, exotic meats, and even full size of beef for the vigorous appetites of ogres and trolls. But Johann's business has fallen on hard times and fallen in with the wrong crowd, as the quality of his products declined and his business turned into a front operation for the Crooked Man. Some have started to wonder if they ever really knew Johann. Bluebeard's money. One might think that Bluebeard donates funds to the Fabletown government for nefarious purposes, seeking special favors or to have a loud voice in government proceedings. That's correct. But what he really wants is stability and strength, because as far as Bluebeard is concerned, Fabletown exists to insulate him from the Mundy world. As much as his money can be a sword, it also serves as a shield. So basically, Fabletown gives him protection from the law, is what that's saying. Crooked Lair, occupying a desanctified church. This is just one of many locations the Crooked Man's operation uses to run Fabletown Underworld. Its lounge atmosphere makes for a comfortable meeting place unless you're an unwelcome guest. It is completely boarded up to the outside world, and the only way is is through one of the many portals marked by a door with the Crooked Man's Catherine wheel icon scattered throughout the city and elsewhere. The Crooked Man has slowly built himself into one of the most powerful figures in Fabletown. His operation started with a crooked sixpence and a crooked house, two things he cared about more than his wife or children, whom he killed rather than let stand in the way. In his rise, the Crooked Man has ensnared many fables in his crime web, providing them with what they need, but always at a high cost. He is cunning, persuasive, hardly different, given the context, but cunning, persuasive, and ruthless. Tiny Tim, while most fables theorize that their longevity and overall well-being is improved by the Mundy's world's knowledge of them, for a select few that does not seem to apply. When a malady or injury is an integral part of Fable's story, that notoriety can make recovery nearly impossible. That's what Tim thinks, at least. And no medical care or magic, rather none that he can afford, can heal his leg. Life on the farm. With its idyllic location and managed community, the farm would seem to be a welcome alternative from eking out existence in Fabletown, but those who have lived there see it very differently. They see it for what it is, a prison, a place where you're free to be who you are and do whatever you please except leave. It doesn't help that while fables who appear human do not have to worry about being sent to the farm, they always seem to fill leadership roles there. The girl with the ribbon. Vivian was the very first to bear the curse of the purple ribbon. Removing the ribbon would result in death, and any attempt to talk about it was thwarted by the spell upon it. As time went on, she tried to live a normal life. Eventually, she married a nice man, but he was constantly wondering about the ribbon around her neck. Despite her pleas for him to leave it alone, one night while she was sleeping, he attempted to remove it. As he pulled on the edge of the string, Vivian woke and saw what her husband was doing. In a panic, she pulled away, preventing the ribbon knot from being undone. Furious, she tried to express the severity of his actions, but her husband was unable to understand. She realized she couldn't trust him and decided to leave. She lived alone for the rest of her days in the homelands, preferring the safety of isolation to the risk of another betrayal. So yeah, again, that's obviously not just practically, but like in a character sense, fundamental to the portrayal of her character. Putting in Pie, Vivian and Georgie's place. Vivian and Georgie met during the exodus from the homelands, and they helped each other survive the long journey to the mundane world. Upon their arrival, however, they found it hard to make a decent living. With what little money they had, they opened the Pudding and Pie. Operating a strip club may not have been the most desirable occupation, but they figured it was better to be in charge of a place like this than to be forced through desperation to work at one. And that didn't turn out too well. Yeah, the Winter Wolf, Bigby's mother. Bigby's mother, Winter, fell in love with the North Wind and bore him 7 wolf cubs. But he quickly grew tired of her and left Winter. Heartbroken and alone, she tried to care for her cubs despite her grief. She was especially fond of Bigby, but as the runt of the litter, he was often teased by his older brothers. After Winter's death, Bigby's siblings went in search of their father, but Bigby stayed behind to protect his mother's corpse from scavengers. Unfortunately, he was too small to defend her. From then on, he vowed to eat something bigger each day until he was large enough to confront his father and make him pay for the pain he caused his family. So yeah, Bigby is a very complicated character in this narrative. Like, obviously he's one of the main characters, and Bill Willingham obviously put a lot of effort into making him a very rich and layered character. Big Bad Wolf, Bigby's true form, is that of a giant 8-foot-tall wolf. In addition to his iconic huff and puff power, he has also inherited other abilities from his father, Northwind. For example, Bigby is able to hold his breath for an abnormally long amount of time, making it impossible for him to drown. Mary's loyalty, part of the job. Bloody Mary began working for the Crooked Man many centuries ago. He promised her freedom to do as she pleased, as long as she agreed to act as a personal bodyguard and hitman. Because of the Crooked Man's power and influence, Mary never had to worry about getting caught by the authorities. She enjoys her job immensely and would defend the Crooked Man to the death, mostly because she finds it fun. Fabletown Justice. When a criminal is captured in Fabletown, the traditional procedure is to hold a formal hearing in front of the community or concerned parties. Let me try to speak fluidly. However, exceptions are made to expedite, same difference. The process, in reality, there aren't any hard and fast rules for these types of situations, and the extent to which policies are upheld can depend on who is being charged. New Order. Snow White in charge. With Crane out of the picture, Mayor Cole has officially appointed Snow White as the Director of Operations and Deputy Mayor in his absence. Many would say this promotion is a long time coming, since she was instrumental to the establishment of Fabletown and personally ensured that many Fabled made it to the New World safely. She's also been doing the work of the Deputy Mayor unofficially for years. And Sheriff Bigby. After fleeing the homelands, Bigby spent many years wandering through Europe. With a Fable colony quickly developing in the New World, Snow White and Feathertop tracked down the wolf and offered him passage to Fabletown. He agreed, and Snow cut him with a lycanthropy-stained knife to give him the power to change into human form at will. Okay, so that's why he has werewolf powers. Bigby became sheriff of Fabletown under King Cole's administration, but because of his violent past, many Fables didn't trust him, and he was banned from ever setting foot on the farm. To this day, he struggles to redeem himself in the eyes of the community. Alright, so that'll do it for now. And if and when I get that full narrative stream underway, I will be talking about some of my interpretations and theories about the narrative that I wasn't able to go into in depth here due to spoilers and that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's one of the things next on the list to tackle. And there are, of course, other games in my library, that don't require too much stress or active engagement, that can make for a nice, quiet, kind of chill environment to talk about, some interesting narrative devices and structures and forms and all this kind of stuff, and hopefully create an environment for a community to kind of talk and discuss and share our opinions about these sort of things. Alright, that'll do it for tonight. And so, once again, thanks to everybody for watching. Stay safe, stay posi, and be excellent to each other. See you next time, baby. See you next time, everybody. Love and rockets.